you will be safe. If you obey, you will be safe. I reiterate that as you are conducting transit passage in a recognized international strait, under international law, your passage must not be impaired.
No challenge is intended. No challenge is intended. I want to inspect the ship for security reason. Over.
Do you believe that as a result of this, whoever is to blame, you could have an escalation which would result in a military incident?
Well, in such a small body of water, if you have so many foreign vessels, accidents will happen.
With tensions being as high as they are, there is a possibility of war?
Well, you cannot simply disregard a possibility of a disaster.
I've gone through the Strait of Hormuz on a U.S. Nimitz-class carrier. It is extremely narrow, and it's a time when a big ship like that is very vulnerable. So certainly, that is a very dangerous time, but you can tell that the Iranians are showing that they are bold, that they're extremely confident, despite the fact that a lot of the gear they use is, of course, no match for what the U.S. says. They're clearly sending the message that they are the ones who are in control of that area. They're not going to back down from that area.
And as Fred just said, that's a very tight waterway. Ships are very well controlled in that area. You know exactly where you are according to either LORAN compasses or through satellite feeds. And folks know whether you're in international waters or in territorial waters. It's confusing, it's tough, it's tight, so it will be tense.
One thing that people don't realize is that the Iranians are regularly flying drones 24/7 hours a day, basically along the Strait of Hormuz, through the Gulf, looking for targets of opportunity to conduct a strike against various forces. And it's very difficult to determine whether or not that drone that they're flying is being used for surveillance or it's packed with explosives ready to conduct a strike, which they have done recently against other oil tankers. And so when the Marines on this naval vessel used counter-drone technology to take down this Iranian drone, it was an incredible thing, because they may have very much saved lives in this case, because who knows if that drone was going to conduct a strike.
How exactly does that work? Because we heard that when they brought down the Iranian drone, they used a jamming technology. How does that work?
Exactly. So for a while now, U.S. Marines have been quietly adding counter-drone technology to various naval vessels throughout the Persian Gulf. And what they've added is a system that's basically known as a light marine anti-defense integrated system, which is an electronic warfare jamming system that's equipped with radar and cameras that basically scans the areas and looks for friendly or hostile drone threats. And what they did in this case was they found a hostile threat from this Iranian drone, and then they jammed the actual signal from the drone, which basically either can knock it directly out of the sky or force it to return home.
Is the U.S. headed closer to war with Iran?
I hope not, but let's face it, Iran has been a malign influence, the largest state sponsor of terror since its founding back in the late 70s. You go down the list of the Beirut bombing or the IEDs they supplied in the Iraq War, their involvement in Syria and Yemen. That is why we were so opposed to the Iranian agreement, because it allowed more than $100 billion of money to flow into the economy and the military of the largest state sponsor of terror. And by the way, as you see, as they've increased their enrichment of uranium, it did nothing to stop their nuclear weapon program. So again, I think Iran is playing a very, very dangerous game. It makes no sense that they'd go after the UK. I think they were trying to divide the U.S. from our friends and allies. They're just uniting us in hopefully standing up to Iran once and for all, demanding they never have a nuclear weapon, and to end their ballistic missile technology and their malign sponsor of terrorism around the region, around the world.